Think you know justice? Think again. Before you ever set foot in a real courtroom, Hollywood's been schooling future lawyers for decades with films that pack more legal wisdom than most law textbooks. One movie literally changed how juries deliberate forever. Which classic taught a generation that cross-examination is everything? 12 Angry Men, 1957. This masterpiece happens entirely in one sweltering jury room, yet it's more gripping than any superhero flick. Henry Fonda stands alone against 11 jurors ready to send a kid to the electric chair, armed with nothing but reasonable doubt and the patience of a saint. What starts as an open and shut murder case transforms into a clinic on bias, prejudice, and how 12 strangers can tear apart evidence piece by piece. Sidney Lumet shot the whole thing with 385 camera setups, tightening the frame as tensions explode. The film was based on Reginald Rose's teleplay, and Rose sat in on actual jury deliberations to nail the authenticity. Critics called it pure cinema gold, and the American Film Institute ranked it the second greatest courtroom drama ever made. Here's the kicker. Real jury foremen started using Fonda's methodical approach after seeing the film. Law schools still screen this in constitutional law classes because it perfectly demonstrates how reasonable doubt actually works. The movie bombed at first, earning just $2 million against its $350,000 budget, but became legendary on television. Today, every law student knows that moment when Fonda quietly unfolds an identical switchblade knife. Pure courtroom magic that redefined what justice really means. To Kill a Mockingbird, 1962. Gregory Peck became the moral compass of American cinema playing Atticus Finch, the Alabama lawyer defending a black man in the Jim Crow South. The film adaptation of Harper Lee's Pulitzer Prize winner turned Peck into an icon, earning him an Oscar and cementing Finch as the American Film Institute's greatest film hero of all time. But here's what law students need to understand. This isn't really about legal strategy, it's about moral courage in an impossible system. The Depression-era trial scenes are brief but devastating, showing how prejudice poisons justice even when the evidence is crystal clear. Director Robert Mulligan shot most of the story through Scout's eyes, making the legal drama feel intimate and personal rather than procedural. The courthouse scenes were filmed at Universal Studios, but they captured the suffocating atmosphere of Southern justice perfectly. Critics praised Peck's understated performance, noting how he avoided grandstanding even when delivering the film's most powerful moments. The movie dominated awards season, winning 3 Oscars, including Best Actor for Peck. Law professors used specific scenes to teach about systemic racism in the legal system and the ethics of defense work. What makes this essential viewing is how it shows that sometimes doing the right thing means losing everything. Peck himself said the role was his favorite, and decades later, lawyers still quote Finch's closing argument about the equality of all men before the law. Anatomy of a Murder, 1959. Jimmy Stewart trades his Obushucks charm for something much darker in Otto Preminger's uncompromising legal thriller. Stewart plays Paul Beegler, a small-town lawyer defending an Army lieutenant who claims temporary insanity after killing his wife's alleged attacker. This film broke every rule Hollywood had about courtroom decorum, featuring explicit discussions of undergarments, assault, and mental illness that scandalized 1959 audiences. Preminger shot in real Michigan locations, using actual courtrooms and hiring local residents as extras to achieve documentary-level realism. The script, adapted from a novel by Michigan Supreme Court Justice John D. Volker, contains actual legal language and procedure that most films ignore. Lee Remick delivers a mysterious performance as the lieutenant's wife, keeping audiences guessing about her credibility throughout the trial. Duke Ellington composed the jazz score, marking one of the first times a major black composer scored a mainstream Hollywood drama. The film was banned in Chicago for its frank discussion of rape, proving how ahead of its time Preminger's approach really was. Critics called it the most realistic courtroom drama ever filmed, and law schools still use it to teach evidence rules and trial strategy. What sets this apart is Stewart's morally ambiguous lawyer, who manipulates facts as much as he reveals them. The film asks whether lawyers serve truth or clients, a question every law student eventually faces. Witness for the Prosecution, 1957. Billy Wilder proved he could master any genre with this Agatha Christie adaptation that's part murder mystery, part legal thriller, and completely unpredictable. Charles Laughton plays Sir Wilfrid Robarts, a British barrister recovering from a heart attack who takes on what seems like an impossible murder case. Tyrone Power, in his final film role, plays Leonard Vole, accused of killing a wealthy widow for her money. But the real fireworks come from Marlene Dietrich as Vole's mysterious German wife, whose testimony could save or doom her husband. Wilder strips away Hollywood glamour, filming in stark black and white that emphasizes the moral ambiguity of every character. The Old Bailey courtroom scenes follow actual British legal procedure, complete with wigs, robes, and centuries-old traditions that American audiences found fascinating. Laughton's performance is masterful, showing a lawyer whose brilliant mind compensates for his failing body. The film's famous twist ending shocked audiences who thought they knew Christie's story, and Wilder insisted theaters post warnings asking patrons not to reveal the surprise. Critics praised the tight screenplay and Laughton's commanding presence, earning the film 6 Oscar nominations. Law students love this because it demonstrates how cross-examination can destroy even the most convincing witness. The film also shows how personal relationships complicate professional obligations, a lesson every lawyer learns eventually. Wilder's direction never sensationalizes the legal proceedings, letting the human drama speak for itself. A Few Good Men, 1992. Aaron Sorkin's military courtroom drama gave us Jack Nicholson's most quoted movie line and turned Tom Cruise into a serious dramatic actor. The story follows Navy JAG officers defending 2 Marines accused of murdering a fellow soldier at Guantanamo Bay, with Cruise's cocky lieutenant commander taking on Nicholson's intimidating colonel. Rob Reiner directed with the precision of a military operation, building tension through crisp dialogue and escalating confrontations. The famous "You Can't Handle the Truth" scene became instant cinema legend, with Nicholson's explosion of rage revealing the character's authoritarian mindset. Sorkin based the script on actual events involving military hazing and the chain of command, drawing from his research into military justice systems. The supporting cast, including Demi Moore and Kevin Pollak, brings depth to what could have been stock legal thriller characters. Kevin Bacon delivers a memorable performance as the prosecuting attorney, showing how personal ambition can conflict with seeking justice. The film earned over $236 million worldwide and 4 Oscar nominations, proving audiences hungered for smart legal drama. Law schools use this to teach military law and the ethics of following orders versus moral responsibility. The courtroom scenes crackle with Sorkin's signature rapid-fire dialogue, making complex legal concepts accessible to general audiences. What makes this essential is how it explores the tension between military discipline and individual conscience, themes that resonate beyond the courtroom setting. My Cousin Vinny, 1992. Don't let the comedy fool you. This Joe Pesci vehicle contains some of the most accurate legal procedure ever filmed. The story follows 2 New York college students falsely accused of murder in rural Alabama, defended by Pesci's inexperienced Brooklyn lawyer who's never tried a case. Marisa Tomei won an Oscar for her supporting role as Pesci's girlfriend, whose unexpected automotive expertise becomes crucial evidence. Director Jonathan Lynn balanced the fish-out-of-water comedy with genuine legal drama, consulting actual lawyers to ensure courtroom accuracy. The film gets procedure right in ways most dramas ignore, showing proper objections, evidence rules, and cross-examination techniques. Law professors regularly screen this in evidence classes because it demonstrates how expert witnesses actually work. Pesci's Vinny may be loud and unconventional, but his trial strategy is methodical and brilliant, picking apart the prosecution's case piece by piece. The Alabama locations provide authentic small-town atmosphere, contrasting New York attitudes with Southern traditions in ways that feel real rather than stereotypical. Critics initially dismissed it as lightweight entertainment, but legal experts praised its attention to detail and realistic portrayal of trial work. The film earned over $64 million against its modest budget, becoming a surprise hit that launched Lynn's directing career. Students love the scene where Tomei destroys the prosecution's timeline using technical automotive knowledge, showing how specialized expertise can swing cases. What makes this special is how it proves that understanding people and evidence matters more than fancy degrees or expensive suits. The Verdict, 1982. Paul Newman delivers one of his greatest performances as Frank Galvin, a washed-up Boston lawyer given one last chance at redemption in a medical malpractice case. David Mamet's screenplay peels away legal drama cliches, showing how personal failure and alcoholism can destroy even the most promising careers. Sidney Lumet directs with unflinching realism, filming in actual Boston locations, including real courtrooms and hospitals. The case involves a young woman left in a vegetative state after a hospital error, with Newman's underdog lawyer facing a powerful Catholic hospital and their high-priced legal team. Charlotte Rampling plays a mysterious woman who may be working for the opposition, adding paranoia and betrayal to an already complex story. The film shows how big institutions protect themselves, using money and influence to bury inconvenient truths. Newman's Galvin is no heroic crusader. He's a desperate man fighting for professional survival as much as justice for his client. The courtroom scenes avoid melodrama, focusing on the grinding reality of evidence, witnesses, and legal procedure. Critics praised Newman's nuanced performance, earning him an Oscar nomination and widespread acclaim. The film grossed over $54 million and established Mamet as a major screenwriting talent. Law students appreciate how it shows the ethical dilemmas real lawyers face, especially when personal and professional stakes align. What sets this apart is Newman's portrayal of failure and redemption, proving that courtroom drama works best when it focuses on character rather than spectacle. Philadelphia, 1993. Tom Hanks won his first Oscar playing Andrew Beckett, a Philadelphia lawyer fired for having AIDS who sues his former firm for discrimination. Denzel Washington co-stars as the personal injury lawyer who reluctantly takes Beckett's case, overcoming his own prejudices to fight institutional bigotry. Jonathan Demme directed this groundbreaking drama during the height of the AIDS crisis, when Hollywood rarely addressed the epidemic's impact on American society. The film broke barriers by showing a gay man with AIDS as a sympathetic protagonist rather than a victim or villain. Hanks lost significant weight for the role, and his physical transformation tracks his character's declining health throughout the legal battle. The courtroom scenes focus on dignity and human rights rather than legal technicalities, making complex discrimination law accessible to mainstream audiences. Washington's character arc from bigoted lawyer to committed advocate provides the film's emotional core, showing how personal growth can emerge from professional obligation. The supporting cast, including Jason Robards and Antonio Banderas, brings depth to what could have been a preachy social issue film. Critics praised the film's humanistic approach to controversial subject matter, earning it 5 Oscar nominations and 2 wins. The movie grossed over $206 million worldwide, proving audiences were ready for stories about marginalized communities. Law schools use this to teach civil rights law and workplace discrimination, showing how legal victories can change social attitudes. What makes this essential viewing is how it demonstrates law's power to protect the vulnerable and challenge institutional prejudice. And Justice for All, 1979. Al Pacino explodes in Norman Jewison's scathing satire of American justice, playing a Baltimore defense attorney pushed beyond his breaking point. The film follows Pacino's Arthur Kirkland as he navigates a corrupt legal system where judges are criminals and innocent men rot in jail. Pacino's famous "You're out of order" courtroom outburst became one of cinema's most quoted moments, capturing every lawyer's fantasy of telling off a corrupt judge. The screenplay by Valerie Curtin and Barry Levinson attacks legal system failures with bitter humor and righteous anger. Jack Warden plays an eccentric judge who flies helicopters to escape courtroom pressures, representing the system's disconnect from real consequences. The film shows how good lawyers get crushed by institutional corruption, with Pacino's character torn between professional ethics and personal morality. Jeffrey Tambor appears as a prosecutor more interested in conviction rates than justice, embodying systemic problems that persist today. The Baltimore locations provide gritty authenticity, showing urban decay and institutional failure in stark detail. Critics praised Pacino's manic energy while questioning the film's cynical worldview, earning mixed but passionate reviews. The movie earned Pacino an Oscar nomination and grossed over $33 million against its modest budget. Law students debate whether the film's extreme cynicism accurately reflects legal practice or unfairly caricatures the profession. What makes this powerful is Pacino's portrayal of moral exhaustion, showing how fighting for justice can destroy the fighters themselves. The film remains relevant because legal system problems haven't disappeared, making Kirkland's rage eternally fresh. Inherit the Wind, 1960. Spencer Tracy and Frederick March face off as legendary lawyers in this fictionalized account of the 1925 Scope's Monkey Trial. Tracy plays Henry Drummond based on Clarence Darrow, defending a teacher prosecuted for teaching evolution in a Tennessee town. March portrays Matthew Harrison Brady, representing William Jennings Bryan's fundamentalist prosecution of scientific truth. Stanley Kramer directed this adaptation of the Broadway play, using the historical trial to address 1960s concerns about intellectual freedom and religious extremism. The film shows how public trials become circuses, with media attention turning serious legal issues into entertainment spectacles. Gene Kelly plays a cynical reporter based on H.L. Mencken, providing sharp commentary on small-town prejudice and political grandstanding. The courtroom confrontation between Tracy and March crackles with intellectual and emotional intensity, representing broader conflicts between science and faith. The screenplay takes liberties with historical facts, but captures the essential drama of progress versus tradition. Critics praised the performances while noting the film's heavy-handed approach to complex issues. The movie earned 4 Oscar nominations and established Kramer as a major social issue filmmaker. Law schools use this to teach First Amendment principles and the role of expert testimony in controversial cases. Students appreciate how it shows lawyers as intellectual gladiators, using wit and knowledge rather than just procedure. What makes this timeless is how the central conflict between evidence and belief continues to shape legal and political debates today. Primal Fear, 1996. Edward Norton exploded onto the scene with his Oscar-nominated debut as Aaron Stampler, an altar boy accused of murdering a beloved Chicago archbishop. Richard Gere plays the flashy defense attorney who takes the case for publicity but discovers more than he bargained for in his seemingly innocent client. Director Gregory Hoblit crafts a psychological thriller that uses courtroom procedure to explore the nature of evil and manipulation. Norton's performance is a masterclass in deception, showing how mental illness can be both real and manufactured, depending on the observer's perspective. Laura Linney plays the prosecutor determined to convict Stampler, representing the system's desire for simple answers to complex crimes. The film explores multiple personality disorder and how psychological defenses can complicate legal responsibility. Gere's character must confront his own motivations, questioning whether he seeks justice or just another high-profile victory. The Chicago locations provide urban grit that grounds the psychological drama in recognizable reality. Alfred Molina delivers a memorable supporting performance as a forensic psychiatrist caught between competing interpretations of mental illness. Critics praised Norton's stunning debut while noting the film's clever manipulation of audience expectations. The movie grossed over $102 million worldwide and launched Norton's acclaimed career. Law students study this for lessons about psychiatric testimony and the insanity defense in criminal cases. What makes this brilliant is how it shows that truth in legal cases can be subjective, depending on who's telling the story and why. The Rainmaker, 1997. Francis Ford Coppola adapted John Grisham's novel into this David versus Goliath story about insurance company corruption and legal system failure. Matt Damon plays Rudy Baylor, a fresh law school graduate who stumbles into a massive case against a powerful insurance company that denies coverage to dying clients. Danny DeVito co-stars as a shady lawyer who mentors Damon's character in the brutal realities of legal practice. The film exposes how insurance companies use legal technicalities to avoid paying legitimate claims, even when customers' lives hang in the balance. Claire Danes plays a battered wife whose subplot provides Damon's character with moral purpose beyond financial gain. Jon Voight delivers a chilling performance as the insurance company's ruthless defense attorney representing corporate power at its most heartless. Mickey Rourke appears as an abusive husband whose violence drives the film's secondary plot about domestic abuse and legal protection. The Memphis locations provide authentic Southern atmosphere that grounds the story in recognizable regional culture. Coppola directs with veteran skill, balancing legal thriller elements with character development and social commentary. Critics praised the ensemble cast while noting Grisham's formulaic but effective storytelling approach. The movie earned over $95 million worldwide and proved Damon's leading man potential after Good Will Hunting. Law students appreciate how it shows the grinding reality of civil litigation and the challenges young lawyers face entering practice. What makes this valuable is its honest portrayal of how money corrupts justice, making legal victories hollow when human costs are too high. A Time to Kill, 1996. Joel Schumacher directed this adaptation of John Grisham's first novel, featuring Samuel L. Jackson as a Mississippi father who takes justice into his own hands after his daughter's brutal assault. Matthew McConaughey plays the young lawyer who defends Jackson's character against murder charges in a racially charged trial. The film confronts American racism head-on, showing how the legal system fails black defendants even when their actions seem morally justified. Sandra Bullock co-stars as a law student who helps research the case representing hope for a more inclusive legal profession. Kevin Spacey delivers a memorable performance as a ruthless prosecutor more interested in political advancement than justice. The Mississippi locations provide authentic Deep South atmosphere that emphasizes the region's troubled racial history. Donald Sutherland plays McConaughey's mentor, an alcoholic lawyer whose past mistakes inform his guidance about fighting impossible cases. The Ku Klux Klan serves as an obvious antagonist, but the film's real enemy is systemic racism embedded in legal institutions. Ashley Judd appears as a local activist who understands the community's racial dynamics better than the lawyers involved. Critics noted the film's earnest approach to serious subject matter while questioning some of its more manipulative emotional moments. The movie grossed over $152 million worldwide and helped establish McConaughey as a dramatic leading man. Law students study this for lessons about jury selection, community bias, and the challenges of defending unpopular clients. What makes this essential is how it shows that legal justice and moral justice don't always align, forcing lawyers to choose between winning and doing right. Michael Clayton, 2007. George Clooney delivers his finest dramatic performance as the title character, a fixer lawyer who cleans up his firm's messes until he uncovers a conspiracy that threatens his life. Tony Gilroy wrote and directed this corporate thriller that shows how big law firms protect powerful clients regardless of human cost. Tilda Swinton won an Oscar as the ruthless corporate counsel who orders murders to protect her company's profits from a devastating class action lawsuit. Tom Wilkinson plays a senior partner whose mental breakdown exposes the firm's complicity in covering up environmental poisoning. The film reveals how corporate law operates at the highest levels, where million-dollar settlements are routine and human casualties are acceptable business costs. Sidney Pollack appears as the firm's managing partner, representing old-school legal tradition confronting modern corporate amorality. The New York locations emphasize urban power structures and the isolation of individuals fighting massive institutions. Clooney's character serves as audience surrogate, gradually realizing how his professional skills have been corrupted by institutional evil. The screenplay avoids typical thriller cliches, focusing on character development and moral awakening rather than action sequences. Critics praise the film's intelligent approach to complex legal and ethical issues, earning 7 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture. The movie grossed over $93 million worldwide and established Gilroy as a major writer-director. Law students appreciate how it shows the ethical dilemmas facing corporate attorneys and the personal costs of professional compromise. What makes this brilliant is Clooney's portrayal of moral awakening, showing how even complicit lawyers can find redemption through courage and truth. These 14 films prove that courtroom drama isn't just entertainment. It's education disguised as excitement. From Fonda's quiet heroism to Clooney's moral awakening, these movies show future lawyers what justice really costs. So which one spoke to your future legal career? Drop a comment and tell us which film made you want to fight for justice, or which one made you reconsider law school entirely. Because here's the real question every law student faces. Will you be the lawyer who serves truth, or the one who just serves clients? The courtroom's waiting for your answer.